Welcome to our tutorial today where we're going to talk to you about submitting scores through ScoreFeeder for baseball and softball. First we're going to log in. Realize that only official team representatives such as coaches and statisticians can have a ScoreFeeder account that is authorized to submit scores. So we have just logged in as a coach. The first screen that we will see is report scores and stats. Today we're going to talk about reporting a baseball team's scores, but realize that ScoreFeeder works the same exact way for softball scores. So if you have a softball team, you're welcome to register a softball team and you will go through these same exact screens and the same exact options. First of all, we need to choose a team. Choose men's baseball. We choose our opponent. We're actually going to play against Opponent High School, which is my demonstration team, OPP. You can see that the Opponent High School pops up since it's already in the system. We would then select the date of the game, March the 20th. We're going to make it a 4 o'clock game. We are the home team. We click the orange button and we're ready to begin recording stats. The first thing that the system asks us is for team schedule information. Sample High School, which is the home team, has 9 wins and 1 loss, and in the conference they're 4-1. Opponent, which is the visiting team, is 3-6 and 2-1 in the conference. Next is the runs scored per inning. Opponent High School, the visitor, started off with 2 runs in the first and 2 in the fourth for a total of 4 runs. They had 5 hits and 1 error. The home team Sample had 2 runs in the second, 3 in the third, and they had another 3 in the fifth. So that means they did not even bat in the 7th, so we put an X in the 7th inning. They had 9 hits. They had 2 errors. In baseball, high school baseball, we add notable players instead of submitting the entire roster. So we are selecting 3 players to comment on: Derek Jeter, Barry Bonds, and Jim Thome. And we add those players and they populate the notable players section. Derek Jeter had 2 triples and 2 runs. Barry Bonds had 2 homers and 3 RBIs, and Jim Thome had a homer and a run scored. Now the opponent high school, the visiting high school, if we click on their notable players, since they're already a ScoreFeeder user, their roster is available to us as well. And their notable players included Gary Foster, Johnny Bench, and Lou Piniella. We click Add Players. If we want to right here, we could also add additional players right on the fly here. If we had to, we can add their positions, we can add their number, and we can add them to the game. We don't need to, we're just going to hit Add Players. Now, there are their notable players. They had Gary Foster, who had 2 doubles. Johnny Bench had a homer and 2 RBI, and Lou Piniella had a triple. We can now move on to the pitchers, and you can see that we just simply need to add the pitchers to the game for the home team, and the pitchers were Roger Clemens, Dennis Eckersley, and Jose Mesa. We add the players, and now we have 3 pitchers. Roger Clemens was the starter, so we don't need to add an inning entered for him. He was the one who got the win, so we need to put in his record. He was now 7-1. Dennis Eckersley came in the 5th inning, and Jose Mesa came in the 6th inning. We can add a starting catcher by clicking on the catcher button, and the catcher was Bo Diaz. And Bo Diaz will show up as the catcher all the way down the lineup. For the visiting team, we add their pitchers, and they had a pretty good pitching lineup. They had Tom Seaver, and they had Randy Johnson. They still couldn't get the win, though. We add those players, and they're available. Randy Johnson was the starter, and he actually got the loss. Tom Seaver came in the 5th inning. Randy Johnson, since he did get the loss, his record is 4-4. And we need to add a starting catcher. We will say that Bobby Bonds was a starting catcher. And then in the 5th inning, a pretty good catcher came in and substitute by the name of Johnny Bench. We are to the point where we can add a game description. This is a test game description for testing purposes. And there we've added the score and everything that we need to do to broadcast the game. They ask us as well for the JV score, and in this case the JV was 5-6. We continue to broadcast. The system now automatically takes you to the broadcast scores setup page, where you can see there's your high school name, there's opponent high school, and it is this page is divided in several different sections. The first section is the verified media. These are media who we have already verified the email addresses of the media and the formatting that they would desire. We may select any of those people on this list. You can see that we've selected the Akron Beacon Journal, the Canton Repository, the Cleveland Plain Dealer. We can add additional, such as Sun Newspapers or JJ Huddle, which is a local portal. And now we have about 8 verified media selected there. Once we select them, they will be kept in the memory of your particular selections for all future broadcasts. We can also add other media. If there isn't somebody in the verified media, we could add other media. For example, the sports news paper. We would just add in their email address, sports@newsp.com. Add them to the broadcast, and that particular news organization would get our standard default template. Anyone who's in the other media section would receive the default media broadcast, which is a very standard thing to do. Now finally, there's friends, family, and non-media. Any coach or any user of ScoreFeeder can add themselves right in this section here if the coach wants to add them. So for example, let's say there was a person named Bart Simpson who we wanted to add to the list to receive the box score at the same time the media gets it. We would add his email, bart@simps.com, and he is added as a recipient. We can add aunts and uncles and traveling dads. Virtually anybody can be added in here as friends and family of the program. There will also be a site on the front page of ScoreFeeder where people can publicly subscribe, so the coach doesn't have to go through this keeping track of things. But very nice to have a small mailing list within ScoreFeeder of interested parties. And then we click on Preview Broadcast. We are at the point where we can look at a template. Here's how the media would look for the Cleveland Plain Dealer. It's formulated and formatted. You can see that we actually include the entire roster for the media for their convenience. That saves them a lot of return phone calls. And then we can hit Send Broadcast. The system asks us, would you like to send the broadcast now? I'm going to say Send, and yes. And it scrolls right through each and every one of the media, and you get to see them before your very eyes, as well as any of the individual people as well. You can watch them go and have the confidence that they are sent out to the email addresses that you have selected. So there we have it. In about 8 minutes, we've created a game and submitted it to about 24 recipients. ScoreFeeder says thank you. And there you have the example of how simple it is to utilize ScoreFeeder to broadcast to multiple media in a few short keystrokes. Thank you very much, and we hope you enjoy using ScoreFeeder.